navigation. My name is Kathy Long. I'm the Senior Training Specialist for Ivy Tech Community College. Joining me also is Dr. Kara Monroe. She'll be helping to facilitate our question area today as well. We've got a lot of things to discuss. Today we're going to explore the course navigation in our IvyLearn platform. We're going to learn how to navigate through those course navigation modules, and we're also going to explore our statewide course template as well. This, of course, is preparing you for next week's webinar where we learn how to add lots of content. So let's get started. And the first thing we want to do is we want to log into our IvyLearn environment. You're welcome to try this as we go along, or you're welcome to do this after the webinar has ended. We go to ivylearn.ivytech.edu, ivylearn.ivytech.edu, and you're going to enter in a username and password. This is the same credentials that you use when you log into My Ivy, which is formerly Campus Connect. Once you've entered in your username, which is your complete Ivy Tech email address, and your password, click Sign In. By default, the IvyLearn platform opens up to this global interface. And the global interface is broken up into three components. On the left-hand side of the screen, this is called our global navigation menu. And each one of those icons takes you to different content areas within the global navigational menu. By default, IvyLearn opens up to this dashboard page. So the center area is called a content area, and in this example, it's called our dashboard. The dashboard is where we can access our courses quickly and easily, and those little cards are called course cards. Okay, so we click on those to enter into a course. Finally, in our global interface, on the right-hand side, we have the sidebar. Okay, and this sidebar, when we're in the dashboard view, has a list of to-do items. So these are assignments that are upcoming in the classes that I'm either teaching or taking as a student. And I also have upcoming events. If I was a student, I'd also receive some feedback from my instructor. I could see that located here as well in the sidebar activity. So this is the global navigational interface. And again, this is our global navigation menu. The center part of the screen is called our content area, and by default, IvyLearn opens up to our dashboard. And then over here on the right-hand side, this is called our sidebar. So let's go ahead and jump right into that IvyLearn platform, and let's explore what it looks like and how we navigate the course navigation. So here we are in the live IvyLearn environment, and once again, this is a live example of our global menu on the left-hand side, our course cards or our dashboard content area, and then our sidebar located over on the right-hand side. Okay. Let's go ahead and click on a course, and I'm going to select one that I'm actually, this has been a fully developed online course for DBMS 120. And when I click on that, it takes me to this home page. Okay, so we still have our global navigation menu on the left-hand side, and then we have our course navigation menu. So this intimidating list over here on the left-hand side is our course menu. This looks different in the student view, and we're going to go through the student view just a little bit later in our presentation. But you'll notice some of these areas have darker text. Okay, so this means this is available to students, there's content located in there, and then we have some hidden buttons. And this type of area is the things that we're going to use when we add content and we organize our content for the course. So here we have our course menu. We also have here in the center of the screen the content area, and depending on which area you're in, this content changes. Over here on the right-hand side of the page, we still have a sidebar area. Okay, and by default in this particular home page, we have access to our different modules. And modules is a vocabulary word that you're going to need to learn. Okay, and because course modules are what's going to replace what we used to call class sessions. So now those are called modules. This course has been developed based on Quality Matters standards. Quality Matters is a national rubric and set of standards that align outcomes, aligns course objectives with assessments, and it also is the best practices in navigation, and we've been partners with QM for a long, long time. All right, so here is our home page. You can tell what area we're located in because the home page kind of gets highlighted with this green box. Okay, so we know we're in the home area. Up here in the top left-hand corner, it tells us what course we're in. As we move through each content area, this is also our breadcrumb trail. Okay. Here, this is also how we can expand and collapse our course menu. So when I click on that, you'll see that my course menu has disappeared. I click that icon again and my course menu appears. All right, so now we have these course menus. I have a link right here to go to my course syllabus. And we also have these different modules or content areas. And again, that was formerly known as class sessions. The reason why this home page opens up to the course module area is because this is the most frequently used content that the student is going to need to access throughout the semester. So once they've read the syllabus document for the first time, which is located up here on the top of the page, and also as a menu item for the students on the left-hand side of the course menu, they're going to use that as a reference. But they are going to be accessing this content area every time they log into the class because this is where the reading, the assignments, and their content is actually located. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just click on one of these links, and let's take a look at what this looks like in a real class. So when I click on Module 1, it opens up, and this information and the statewide template gives me the overview of what we're going to be learning. I highly recommend using the course template, regardless if you're teaching in a traditional classroom experience or an online course or a hybrid course. This kind of outlines it for you so you can build your own content pages. It makes it a little bit easier to maneuver the IvyLearn platform for the first time. So the first slide that you're going to see is the overview. So what am I going to do in this particular area? There's links to different readings. There's links to a review and lecture slides. There's also direct links to my assignments. So I have in this particular first module, I have a discussion board, I have a homework assignment, and I also have a quiz. Okay, so I can link to that right here from my front module page. I'm going to click the Next button, and this is almost like a series of slides that walks me through step by step my content for this first week's assignments or my first module assignments. Okay, so again, here's my readings. I can click on any one of these links to open up additional documentation and read. So it's very easy for the student to navigate. We're going to go through this one slide at a time. Here's my discussion board. It's built right into that module, so I don't have to click anywhere in the class, and I can participate in that discussion board located right here within that course module. And again, that's part of that course template. It's available to you to use, and I highly recommend it. So that's kind of how we do that. You can reply right here into the discussion board, or you can move on to the next slide. Okay. Here's my homework assignment. I have my instructions, and as a student, I have right up here my submit assignment. So again, this is very easy for the student to walk through this step by step what I need to do. From the instructor point of view, you're going to notice several times in almost every location, anytime you add or edit any type of content, you're going to see this publish or unpublish button. And I really want you to write a note to yourself, publish, unpublish. Publish means that the content has been made available to your students. If you do not publish the content item, students will not be able to see it. And this can be a real stumbling block. This is a new workflow for us as faculty members to remember that we need to publish our content or make our content available. And that's what that published button is. From our instructor view, which is what we're at, you'll always see up here an edit button. So this little pencil icon appears several places throughout the IvyLearn platform. And anytime we see that pencil button, we know that we can customize or edit that item. So this is an instructor view. You'll see that this assignment has been created, and it's worth 10 points. I can add a rubric to that, and then I can also, from my student perspective, I can submit my assignment here. I click the next slide, And this is where I take my assessment. So I can actually build an assessment, a quiz, or an exam in my IvyLearn platform, and students can take that located right here in the module. So self-contained, and it walks through students step by step. And then, of course, the final step in the overview in the statewide template is this, what are we going to do next? And that kind of gives you a preview of what Module 2 is going to contain. All right, so that's the kind of the layout. Before, if you've ever worked with class sessions in our former LMS platform, you remember we had an overview, what are the objectives for that particular module, we had some learning activities, and we also had some learning assessments. And this get a little bit more flexibility in how you can build that content, and it's really nice from a student view and perspective. Okay, so that was our modules. And remember how I got there? I got there through my home button originally. So by default, the course is going to open up to this home page. And you can actually send your home page to several different content areas. Okay, you notice from the instructor perspective over here on the right-hand side, here are some of my edit buttons, some things that I can do to create right here from this content page, and I also have my to-do list. So these are a series of upcoming events in this particular course. Okay, so that is our home page in the statewide template as an overview. Kim has a great question. Where exactly is this template located? And it's located in our course Commons. The Commons area is located on your global navigation menu. And if we have time at the end of this presentation, I will walk you through how to download that template into your practice sandbox or your developmental shell, just depending what you have available to you at this time. Thank you for that great question, Kim. Okay. It looks like Deb has a great question too about, can you set availability dates? Yes, everything, every item, every assignment, every module, every content area has due dates or availability dates, and it's that's what really, the calendaring system, this is a new workflow for us. We want to make sure that we're adding dates to all of our assignments because that's what generates our to-do list for our students. We know what's coming up. This helps keep them organized and on track and staying engaged with the course. So thank you, Deb. That was a great question as well. All right, so going back to our course navigation menu, we have our home page, and the next slide or next menu item is announcements. And this is a communication tool. This is exactly what we've used in our former LMS environment. Right across the top, there is several tools that we can use. One, I can search all of my announcements. I can search by the announcements that I haven't read, and I also can click Add Announcement. So in all of our content areas, you're going to see kind of this almost like a green or a contrasty black and white looking button, and this plus sign means we're going to add announcement, add calendar event, add content, add assignment. So that's what that plus sign is. So you're going to see that frequently in the instructor view. Okay. So we'll notice here that there's an announcement that's already been added. And I'm going to click on this announcement. Remember, anytime you roll your cursor over a title and it becomes underlined, this means there's additional content available. So let's click that link. And when I open it up, here's a nice first day announcement. I can actually link back into my syllabus and my modules. So there's lots of different information here provided to me. Now the fun thing about announcements in IvyLearn is that students can actually reply to those announcements now. So instead of just being a static announcement to your students, students can interact with this announcement. So you'll notice here that this announcement page has been created, and Kara has replied. This is a reply to the announcement in the DBMS class. So this is an announcement. She replies back to me using this reply tool. Okay, so for example, I know a lot of you like to take advantage of our go-to meeting. So you want to meet with your students to set up a study session. This is a great tool for that. So you don't know what day and time works best for your students. This is a great way to pull them. So you could post something like, I'm thinking about doing a webinar on Saturday morning from 9 to 10. Would you prefer this time or Sunday evening from 5 to 6? You could ask your students that. You could post that as an announcement, and students could respond back to that here, and you would see all their replies. The other thing that you can do when you're replying back to an announcement is you can actually create a video announcement. Okay, so I have created a video announcement back to my friend Kara here. And to hear that, you just click that and it opens up to my, my video. And there I am in living color with my announcement back to Kara. So I'm communicating with my class. So I have several ways that I can communicate, either through text or also through video response. Okay, so when I click reply, it gives me a text editor. I can enter in my response. This is the same text editor I get when I'm creating content. And then I can click attach, so if I have a file that I want to attach to my announcement. And I can also use this little video file here, and this record and upload media. When I click that, and it appears in several locations in IvyLearn, it asks me to engage my webcam and my audio. And I can give a video response back to my students or to my peers. After I've created my response or my announcement, I just click Post Reply. So pretty straightforward, but a lot of flexibility and functionality that we didn't have before. So that's one of my, an exciting new thing with our announcements. Okay. This next area is called syllabus. This is our syllabus content area, and it's more than just a button menu. The syllabus is actually a functional tool. So in our statewide syllabus that we have used in this particular course, and again, I cannot recommend this information enough to you, you'll see that you can edit this syllabus, add a picture, add your name and your contact information. That's something we want to do in all of our course modalities, regardless if it's online or hybrid or a traditional class. We want students to know how to be able to get a hold of us. We can also add our instructor supervisor information here. Here's access to our help desk support. So that's one more thing that we can do to empower students to get the assistance that they need. There's also in the statewide template this contact information for your online learning support. Online technology folks are more than just online technology folks. They can help any student, faculty, or staff with questions you have about the IvyLearn platform and different training options and availabilities. We also have a link to our disability support staff. This is a statewide list, so regardless of what course you're teaching or where you're teaching, students can access their disability support contact. There's a place and a location for you to post your required text and material, so what book do I need for this class? And then there's also a link to how to order those books online. And again, that is a service that is available to all students here at Ivy Tech, so kind of a fun little informational piece. Every syllabus contains our course outline of record. So that is located here. And then we have links again to our college policies, our ADA statements, and also our course policies and procedures. How is this going to be graded? What are our due dates? Typical syllabus content. Okay, so all of that's here. Some modification can take place here. What's our instructor commitment? How we're going to be communicating with students. So this is all syllabus information, text that you can add, or you can use the statewide template and add your own, customize that to reflect your own contact information. Now, this is where the functionality comes in, and this is what makes the syllabus tool more than just a content button. This area right here, these are assignments. These are assignments created in the IvyLearn platform. They all have due dates. They tell you what the assignment is, and it tells you when they're due. So I can click on any one of these assignments as a student, and it will take me there, and I can get additional information, or I can take that quiz, that assignment. I can read information. So that's what's very powerful about the syllabus tool, and why those dates when we're creating items become very important in that calendaring system. Okay, so down here at the bottom of this syllabus page, every time you create an item or an assignment in the IvyLearn platform, it's going to appear here as a list and an access point for students to access their assignments. So pretty powerful stuff, and kind of a cool way of organizing content. It's still available in the course modules as well, but here's another access point. Students can also access those assignments using the course calendar. And that course calendar is accessed over here on our global menu. So you'll see the calendar button here. So very flexible, making it easy to navigate and easy for our students to locate that information. We also have a direct link to the modules area. We've kind of discussed those modules already and what that looks like. Okay, this is what it looks like when I don't click the area. It's kind of in an outlined form. So for me as a student, I really like this view. It tells me I can click from any one of these content areas within the module, and it kind of gives me a nice outline of what I'm going to be doing for that particular module. So I have my overview, I can do my readings, I can do my discussion boards, I can jump right to my homework if I've already read, you know. So for example, I want to go ahead and do my discussion board post. I can click right there as a student, respond to my discussion board, and then click Next. And again, that takes me to that slide presentation. So I just go from one content area to the next under my modules. All right, let's look at the Grades button. Okay, so this is actually, students can click the Grades button and see their individual grade items. You could click the Grades button and it gives you the whole Grade Center. So this is how you access the Grade Center. Every time you create an item such as a discussion board, you make it a graded forum, if you create a test, an exam, whatever that might be, any type of assignment, it automatically generates here in our Grade Center. Banner in our SIS system will automatically populate the students for you. And we'll also give you their email addresses. I can also search for a student using this filter. And kind of one of the nice things is when I click on a student name, so I'm going to go ahead and pick on Lindsay here. When I click on Lindsay, it opens up to her grades in a list form. Okay, so this is everything that Lindsay, these are all of her assignments. I can see what score she received. This little thought bubble means that I've given her a comment back on that particular, given her grading feedback. So if I'm going to do a one-on-one counseling session with my students, I can pull up their grade information individually and I can go through at a really quick glance what that student has completed and where they're falling short. So kind of a powerful tool. It's a lot better than trying to run a report for each individual student. So easy access located here under the grade section. Now I want to point out to you again the breadcrumb trail. I mentioned that a little bit earlier, but you'll notice right now that I'm looking at Lindsay Adams, and I'm in the grades area, and I'm in the DBMS 120 class. So if I ever get lost, this tells me where I'm going. This is also a navigational tool. So when I want to go back into the Grade Center, I just simply click Grades, and it takes me back to the full roster. I can also, for example, from this little pull-down menu, and we're going to talk a lot more detail about the Grade Center, but I want to show you a few cool things in this particular item. So when I use this pull-down menu, I can actually message students. So when I click Message Students, I can send a message to them, to everyone who hasn't submitted their assignment, for any people who haven't been graded yet, for people who scored less than a certain amount or scored more than. So let's say scored more than 15 out of 20. There's only one person that's been graded, and Lindsay fits into that category. So I can send Lindsay a great job, keep up the good work. And then I can send that message to her, okay? And that message appears in Lindsay's inbox. In the inbox, if you remember, this is the place where they're called conversations. So that's another vocabulary term. Conversations is very similar to messages, okay? So that would come up here in her inbox. I can also, for example, send a message to students who haven't turned in their assignment yet. And I actually practiced this last night, and all of my super users who were enrolled in this as sample students received emails last night in their conversation box. So I'm going to jump over here to the inbox and show you what that looks like. So here I have sent William, for example, Skip, an email last night using the Grade Center that he hadn't turned in his assignment. And you'll see that he is actually, we've had 3 interactions. We have 3 replies to each other. So in my inbox from my Grade Center, I've sent out this message to all my students. And you'll hear, I've got all my students have responded back. There's Kara, thank you. We've emailed back and forth or used messages. So William and I, so the original message went out. This is, no submission for Module 1 homework, okay? And then I entered my message to him. And he responded back that he was sorry that he hadn't done his homework and so forth. Okay, so kind of a nice way of being able to communicate with students from one location. And instead of having to create individual messages for every student who's missing an assignment or for every student who scored below a certain point and you want to ask them to go to tutoring, you can now send one message and it goes out individually to each one of those students. So a great way of communicating using that particular grade book item. So let's go back into my DBMS course. So Deborah has a question. Can you move items around in the Grade Center? And you can to a certain degree. So over here on the far right-hand side, there's this little cogwheel. It's usually indicates settings. So when I use this pull-down menu, I can actually arrange columns by assignment group. Okay, so here all of my discussion boards now appear in that particular order. When I use that little settings, I can also do arrange columns by due date. So not a whole lot of flexibility, but enough that it kind of organizes your content in a logical manner. So either by category, all discussion boards, all exams, all assignments, or by your module or due dates. So in this case, Module 1 appears first and Module 2. Obviously, those are going to be sequentially ordered by due dates. So your calendar is a very important part of the IvyLearn platform. It generates how students are communicated with. It generates how things are navigation purposes in our Grade Center. So that's going to be a new workflow that we're really going to spend some time on to kind of wrap our minds around a different way of thinking a little bit. So this is the Grade Center. Okay. It looks like in the Grade Center I've lost my course navigation menu. So remember, I go up here to this icon, and I click the icon and it opens up my menu again. The People button, this is actually how I can set up my groups. So if I want to set up some group work, I can do that here. I can also see a complete roster of all the students who are in my class. I can see their login user information, their student ID, and then I can also see when did they last log in and how much time did they spend in the course. So again, this is replacing some of those reports that we used to run in Blackboard. We now can get at a glance when the student logged in the last time, and then also how much time they spent in that course. The other thing we can do is when we click on their name in the People section, when I click on their name, we actually see their user profile. Okay, so remember a couple weeks ago when we set up our own user profiles up here under our account settings? Students can do this as well, and if they do, you can actually learn a little bit more about that student, get a little bit more insight to who they are. Just a great way to kind of stay in contact with your students and build that learning community. I can also, from this view, I can still see the students' grades. And when I click that, again, that takes me back to the Grade Center, and I can see that individual students' list of courses and what they've earned and what they have not. All right, so that was our People button. Okay. All right, this next area is called Chat. Okay, this is kind of like, it's kind of a combination of instant messaging and also a discussion board. It's nice when there are more than one people in the chat room. So you'll see that there are 2 people currently in the chat room, Kara and I. So I can send a message. Okay, I'm going to use my little scroll down menu here. And you'll see today it's Wednesday, and Kara said hello to me, and we can interact together. Now, this particular chat tool is only available inside the class, so you're limited just to classroom chatting, okay, with people on your roster. This is not a global tool, so if I was teaching multiple sections of English 111, for example, I couldn't just open up my office hours and let all 4 of my classes join me in one location. This is very course specific. The chat never disappears. It keeps a running chat all the time. So even if we'll just say that Steve was offline, I could still add to the conversation and I can still see what the conversation was even if I wasn't able to join them online. So it's a historical record as well as a chance to interact one-on-one with a student or a peer or my instructor in the class. When I click on history, it actually allows me to search by date, so I can see, let's look up the 28th, for example. So yesterday, I can look up, and this is just the whole conversation that was going on in my chat room yesterday on February 28th. So that's what the history button does. It allows you to search by date what conversations took place. And that does open up into an additional pop-up window. Okay. So that's the chat tool. Kim has a great question. Can you have a private chat? And I don't think so. I haven't figured out a way to do that. And Kara, if I am incorrect, please let me know. But I've tried clicking on Kara's name and just have a private chat with her, and I can't do it. This is a public forum.
And no way that we figured out, nothing listed in the documentation.
Okay. All right. Shelley, I see your question about weighted grades, and that's really an advanced feature and not the focus of this particular presentation, but I'll ask Kara to send you some information from our Canvas guide on that specific topic. Okay? Thank you for the question. It's a great question, and I know how exciting it is to see something and want those questions answered now, so I apologize I can't do that for you at this time, but a great, great question. Okay. Over here, we still have this, now we're getting into this grayed out area. Okay, so this means it's not really viewable to students right now, but this is a series of content areas. So when we look at pages, this is a different way of thinking. It's a different way of organizing. It's a different way of building our course content. So pages, for example, here's a page. This is my home page that we've created. Pages are where you can put content and educational resources that are part of your course but don't necessarily belong in an assignment. So remember on Module 1 Overview, that's a page. Okay, so that was kind of information about the class and how that module navigated. And when we talked about what readings the student needed to complete, that was considered a page. The closest equivalent in Blackboard was when you added an item. That's kind of what a page is. Now, pages can be very lengthy because it's content information. So when I click View All Pages, you'll see this is all the pages of content that are in this particular course. Okay, so it can get overwhelming from a student view. So we don't want students to see that. That's why it's kind of grayed out. But this content is still available under our modules and in different areas within the course. But this is kind of your course content. These are called pages. Okay, in an advanced feature with pages, this is also can be used as a public page, which kind of is an equivalent to a wiki, which is something that we use in some of our courses in our Blackboard environment. Anytime you want to create a page, you just click Add Page, because there's that plus sign again, right? So plus, and then we have this content editor page, and I just blank, so I can add any information that I want to this particular area. I can also allow people to edit this page, and when I select anyone, that makes it public, and that also allows it to be a wiki, so students could collaborate on that particular page. Okay. we want to make sure that any time that we add an item that we publish it if we want to make it available to students. So when you create a page, you always have the option to save and publish or just save. If you want to keep working on that document or you don't want students to see it yet, you can save it, but students won't see it until you publish it. So let me show you what that looks like when I go back just one step. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my pages, and this is all my pages. Okay, and you'll see that this is when that page was originally created, the last time that page was edited, and then here's that little cloud. And that little cloud with the check mark, when it's green, it means it's published and available for students to see. When I click it, it gets a little X in there, and it means it's not published and students cannot see it. This can really, really cause some difficulty. So the student preview button is going to be your best friend, and I'm going to show you student preview in just a moment. But you want to make sure anytime you're adding content, adding a calendaring event, adding anything into the IvyLearn platform, you want to make sure that it's published so students can see it. Okay, so that's a big, big vocabulary term. By the way, I know we were offering up a lot of new vocabulary terms on that handout that I provided for you today. One of the first links is a link to a list of terms in Canvas that you should probably become familiar with. So that's just a little reference for you. We also have this quizzes area. This is how we would create an assessment or an exam. You'll see that these quizzes have already been, I'm seeing a list of quizzes that have already been created in this course. So this is a way that I can quickly see a list of those quizzes. It tells me how many points and how many questions. I know that this quiz has been published. Now, from the student perspective, these quizzes are available within those course modules. Okay, so we could make this quizzes page available to students, but it's a little confusing. It's out of context. Okay, we want students to be learning, reading, absorbing that, watching the lectures if you're providing those, doing those learning activities, and then taking that assessment piece. And that becomes how we actually do our instruction. But there is a list here that I can see. To create a quiz, again, up here in that right-hand corner, add quiz. Okay, and it's going to walk you through those steps. So that's what the quizzes buttons are. This next area is called collaboration. This is a communication tool. Okay, and collaborations allow us to work as a group on a Google document. Okay, so to start a new collaboration, to see I've already created a collaboration demo, and I can also click Start a New Collaboration. Okay, students do have to have access to Google Drive. We're going to be doing a whole session on Google Hangouts and Google Drive and Google Documents. So don't be alarmed if you're not as familiar with this term. We are going to be using this in the future, and we will definitely be providing some training for you. Our IT department is working behind the scenes right now to make that happen. So in a collaboration, this allows me to work on one document together with a friend. So if you've been in on any curriculum committees, if you've created a wiki using a Google document, this is a way that multiple people can use and contribute to one particular document. So I'm going to select Google Docs. I'm going to give it a name. Okay, I'll put this 2. I can give it a description, and then I can actually create a group. So if I want a group work to work together on maybe answering a case study, or if I want a group of students to create their presentation or work on a group speech together, I can actually group my students together and let them work on one document. So think about the miracle of that students can work on one document instead of trying to email back and forth who's got the latest edit. They can use these Google Docs to really collaborate and get the most out of that invitation. I select the person, individual I want to work with, and then I click Start Collaborating. So let me show you here. I've already set one of these up. And when I click on that, it takes me into my Google document. I have a slide here I want to show you. So I sent this demonstration to Kara yesterday. Excuse me as I flip through some slides there. So Kara received this. She received an email notification that I've invited her to collaborate on a document. And then when she went into her Google Drive, here under the Shared With Me area, here is my collaboration demo. Okay, so this is what it looks like for the student who's receiving that invitation to collaborate on a document. Okay. And this is the actual document. So you'll see that I posted this information, and then Kara has also responded. If you notice up here in the right-hand corner, you see that Kara's also now joined me in that document. So we're collaborating together. And you see that Kara is currently adding information to our document at this time. Very powerful tool. I'm a huge, huge fan of Google Documents. We use it here in the Center for Technology a lot, and I'm glad that we're going to open this up for our students as well. Okay, so that's the collaboration tool. You guys still with me? Are your minds blown? Lots of fun stuff going on in IvyLearn. Okay, so this next area is called conferences. This too is a communication tool. Okay, this conference uses Big Blue Button. Okay, it's an application that's built into Canvas. It's very easy to use. I actually did a conference yesterday, and what this means, you'll see concluded a lot in the IvyLearn platform. Concluded is one of those vocabulary terms, and what concluded means is that the event has ended, the course has ended, the conversation has ended. So if you see concluded, this means that this has ended. Okay? If I click Add Conference, and again, there's that same icon. Anytime I add content as an instructor, I'm going to see this plus sign and then the name of what I'm adding. So I'm going to add my conference. Okay? It's a big blue button. That's the name of the conferencing tool. I can set the amount of minutes that I'm going to be available. I can give it a description, and then I can invite all my course members, or I can invite individuals. So let's see. Kara is my partner in crime. So let's find her in this list of students. Oh, there she is. Right, so I've invited her. I scroll down to the bottom of the page here. I click Update. Okay, I now see a button to start that conference. This is when I click Start Conference, it's going to automatically engage my webcam. It's going to ask for permission to do that. I've got to click to enable my Adobe Flash Player. That's individually set up on your computer. And this is a conferencing tool. So if I wanted to meet with my students, say I want to help prepare them for the midterm, and I'm going to create an office hour. This, again, is unique to this individual course. It's not something that I could open up to all 4 sections of my English 111 course that I'm teaching. Okay, I can actually use my microphone, or I can listen only. Since I'm going to be the presenter, I want to make sure that I do have a microphone. Okay. By default, it opens up, it gives you an audio test. It'll also give you some tutorials on how this works. And there's several different, here's your tutorials it automatically populates with, and it can give you a bunch of default settings. Now the thing to remember is that you can record this and it's only available for 14 days. So if you want to use this for a long-term way of communicating or preserving things that you're doing in your classroom, it's not the best tool for that. However, if you want to have a quick one-on-one conference with a student, say you want to go over their essay that they wrote and they're just not understanding where they went wrong, this would be a great way to interact with students in a tutoring capacity or in small groups, or even in a classroom environment if you wanted to just try to set up some optional weekly lectures. Oh, and you'll see that Kara has turned on her webcam and she's joined me down here at the bottom. She's waving at us. So it's very flexible. I can create my default layouts over here. I could do a video chat. So I bring Kara full center and we're face-to-face. There's lots of different things and flexibility to this tool, and it's fairly simple to use. So just remember, again, there's limitations to our recording capacity, and it's also limited to the students just in your course. So I'm going to go ahead and try to exit out of here. You can do screen sharing. There's a lot of flexibility to it. So this is Big Blue Button. Okay. And hopefully I've just ended that presentation. End. Okay? And you'll now notice that's popped down into my concluded conferences area. So it means that has ended. What do students need to participate in the conference? They can just use a microphone, like a headset, and if they want to, you can have a webcam. Just anytime you use webcams, whether you're using our GoTo products like GoToMeeting or using Big Blue Button within the course, you want to make sure that every time you add a webcam, especially if you're using a large group, it does affect the bandwidth. So I try to limit my webcam usage simply to if I'm having a guest speaker or if that's the primary content. If I'm sharing my screen like I am today, I'm not using my webcam because I want you to focus on the content on the screen. So just be careful when you use webcams, but really students need a microphone and a way of hearing what you're saying. So pretty flexible tool. That's called conferences. Wow, we are really running out of time here, and I want to show you the student perspective as well. So these assignments down here, there's files, which is really just exactly what that is, file folders. If you transition content in, if you bring in file folders, this is a list of all that content and how that was brought in. Okay, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on files. We don't give students access to the files area. Too much damage could be done in there, and it's just kind of overwhelming and hard to navigate. So files is just really where the course content is held, but not something that you need to necessarily work with on a regular basis. Okay, discussions, we've kind of already talked about the discussions when we were in that course module. Okay, when I open up the actual discussion area, instead of within the module, I can actually see a list of all of the discussion boards. Okay, pinned discussions, which is up here at the top, these are things that I want to always appear at the top, so I pin them to the top of the page. So typically we have a cyber cafe, a social gathering place where students can use the discussion board, and we also have a place for them to post questions. Discussion boards can be used in a traditional classroom as well as in a hybrid or face-to-face classroom because it allows you to collaborate, all students to be able to participate in a discussion. So a lot of times we don't have enough time for a great discussion or debate in our traditional classroom experience. You can post a probing question here in the discussion board area and let your traditional students participate in this online discussion as well. So this is the discussion board area. You'll notice that this is published, that there have been comments made, or I can subscribe to this. That just means I can get notifications when anybody adds to it. And I can also tell how many replies there have been and how many of them I haven't read. So this is a nice view for that. Assignments. This, again, is kind of grayed out because this is a list, kind of an index, if you will, of all of the discussion boards. And assignments are really graded items, graded things that you'll see in the Grade Center. Here's my exams. These are kind of broken down by category. So you'll notice discussions, exams, lab activities, homework and quizzes, our research project. Okay, so this is all the assignments in the course. Okay, so everything in an index format. For the student, this can really be taken out of context. We want them to learn in a sequential order. So for them to see all of these projects in this format isn't the best for students, but it does allow you to organize your content, your thoughts, to make sure that those items are published. So this would be a great case for how you would use this. A student says, I can't find Module 2 quiz preparing for installation. And you're like, oh my gosh, I think it's available. It should be there. I don't know why you're not seeing it. So one way you can troubleshoot this is you can click on the assignments button, because this is still viewable to you as an instructor, even though it's grayed out. I click that assignments. I can scroll down to my quiz area, and I can say, oh, you know what? Module 2 wasn't published yet, and I can publish it and make that available to students. Okay? I can also see, oh, the due date has passed. Sorry, that due date has passed. You know, you can't take that quiz at this time. So this is a great tool for a teacher to be able to go in and easily identify content that students may find they're missing. So that's just one case example of how that can be used. All right, outcomes. Several of our curriculum committees are part of an outcomes project. This is kind of the tool that will be used to do that. We're currently building some outcomes, master outcomes, for several of our programs in the learning environment. I'm not going to spend too much time about this, but outcomes is one of the tools that can be used in IvyLearn, is that you can grade people on their mastery of a concept or their mastery of an outcome. So that too will be some kind of a new feature as we get a little bit further down the IvyLearn path, how we might be able to use that perhaps in our CBE courses, in mastering courses, or maybe even some of our training programs. So that is called outcomes. These additional tools, ProctorU, Ivy Advising, and Bookshelf, those are third-party applications. If this particular class uses any one of these tools, tutor.com might be something also that you might see on your course menu. Those are located here, and you can adjust those. Okay, wow, 7 minutes. Thanks for hanging in there with me. I want to show you the student view. So I click on Settings. When I click on Settings, over here on the right-hand side of the page, I see Student View. Okay, there's a lot of things going on under the settings. Okay, here's my course details, sections, how I navigate. This is how I would hide and add items to my course menu. So for example, I'm not going to be using the Vital Source bookshelf in this course, so I can lose my little settings and I can just disable it so it doesn't become viewable on my course menu for students, because it's not a tool that I'm going to use. Okay, to save that, we scroll down here to the bottom and I can click Save. Right? So if you're using a Cengage, Pearson MyLab, or something like that, this would be where you could add that third-party content link directly to your course menu. So this is navigation. The most important thing under settings I want to point out to you, though, is the student view. And this is a habit I encourage you to embrace. Going in after you've added content, after you're building content for the first time, go into that student view. See what that looks like for the student to make sure that you've, one, published the item, and then also to get it from the student perspective. So I'm going to click Student View. And when I'm in Student View, this really obnoxious pink purple color bar shows up at the bottom of the page, and it lets me know that I am currently logged into Student View. And in the Student View, you've noticed that a couple things have happened. One, the global menu has changed. Okay, so my global menu has changed. Okay, so I don't have as many options. I still have that inbox. I still have my calendaring tool, and I still have that dashboard, which by default is what opens up for every student and faculty member. That's the quick access to my courses. Okay. Here's my course menu. You notice that all those grayed out areas, collaboration is gone, the discussion link is gone, but I do have my announcement page. So by default, I still have my home page. I can still have my to-do list, my task stream over here on the left-hand side. Okay, we can scroll down. This is how I can actually access. So this is the first thing my students are going to see. They can click on their syllabus, and they can also access their modules on the home page. Okay, so that's automatically what happens when you click on this course. I can go, you notice too, that on my home page, my recent announcements automatically appear at the top of the page. Okay, so I can also access those announcements by clicking the Announcements button. I can get to that syllabus document through the link on that home page or by clicking on the syllabus document. Here's what it looks like from the student perspective. And remember, we talked about all of those assignments, so that syllabus is not just a menu item, it's actually a functioning tool. So if we look down here at the bottom of this page, I scroll down really quickly, so hopefully that'll catch up for your view. Here are a list of my assignments. And from a student, I'm like, oh, first thing I need to do is introduce myself. I'm going to click on that Module 1 discussion board introduction, and it takes me right into that content area. Sorry, it was establishing. Oops, it actually took me to the calendar event, and then I can go into introductions. Okay, So that's that little tool. That link takes you to information about that assignment, and you can also access that there. I might have double-clicked something, so I apologize. Let's go back into my course. Oops. Boy, I broke it. All right, here we go. Sorry about that. I can click on modules. We've already been to that modules area. This is what it looks like for the students from the grade perspective. Okay, so here is a test student. By default, IvyLearn always gives you a test student. So you can log in as a test student every time. When you go into the student view, you are the test student. Okay, you can interact with the content here. I can see all of the items that are currently available in the Grade Center for students. So all those are listed there. And a future tool that I'm going to save for you for another day, but students can actually do what-if scores. So how many times have you had a student say, what do I need to get an A in this class? IvyLearn actually provides a tool that allows students to speculate to their heart's content on what types of grades they need to earn on certain assignments to get the grade of their choice. So that's an upcoming tool that I'll tell you about in a later date. When they click on people, this actually allows them to see all of the students in their class, just like we did when we clicked on the roster. I can also click on anyone's profile. So remember, when I set up my course profile, my account profile up here, this is public information. But it's only your name. If you've added your contact information, if you've created a biography, that information is controlled by the individual user. Here's my chat tool that's still available from the student view. Okay, that same tool, that same functionality that we had. And then we have my third-party content here, ProctorU and Ivy Advising. So that is the student perspective. Okay, we have went through so much information today, and you guys have been a really great audience. Friday, we're actually going to be doing another function junction, which is a 30 minutes or less task-oriented video tutorial. And this week's topic is the correlation between course cards and the course calendar. So I hope you can join me for that. Kara and I will be available online to answer some additional questions for you as we conclude our webinar today. Again, thank you very much. Thank you to Kara for doing such an excellent job answering questions behind the scenes. Everyone, have a great day.